Welcome everyone to my first ship review video. I'll be talking about the Drake Golem. It's a fantastic addition to the starter ship lineup. This is the last major role that didn't have a starter package. We've got combat ships, transport ships, cargo ships, but this is the first mining ship in the lineup. And let me say, for someone that hated mining, I actually really dig this ship. Pun intended, of course. It doesn't require a crew to run, it's simple, and it just works. Most of the time. The Golem features a size 1 fixed mining laser. You can't swap it, but you can upgrade it. The arm really does take this long to deploy. When it comes to firepower, there are 2 size 1 missile launchers on the nose, as well as 2 size 1 weapon ports, not that these are of much use, unless CIG brings Womp Rats to the game. Beware the dreaded fuel port on the port side of the ship. The first time I tried to activate it, it caused my game to crash. I believe it has something to do with the way that the front engine has to flip down. It doesn't animate, it just snaps into place. On the starboard side of the nose is a small arms rack. Holds 1 pistol and 1 utility item. On the PTU, I was actually able to load it up with 2 utilities or 2 pistols. On the port side of the nose is the large weapon rack. It can hold a rifle or a max lift. Back to the starboard side of the cab is the personal storage locker. It has ample room in it, if it works. In this clip here, I managed to open it 1 time, and then after that it completely bugged out. I still have yet to be able to use it. On PTU it held a surprising amount of items. Onto the loadout manager. There are currently 4 skins in the game. For this ship, each one is gorgeous. We'll get to that later. The rest of the components on the screen are default to the ship. I have made no modifications at this point. You can see here the mining laser is grayed out, which means you can't replace it, but you can put in 2 modules, and that covers both active and passive. The first of the 3 skins that I purchased is the Coal Heart. This has green and kind of bronzy gold accents. It could be the way that the lights are reflecting off the metallic paint, but it looks sharp. One of the things about the ship that stands out to me the most is that the piping around the engines begins to glow. Next up we have Fault Line, or the Boba Fett skin. The colors on this one are very striking, as well as the battle damage on the paint job. It really ties the whole thing together. Last up we have the Keystone paint. This one's kind of a stone white with blue accents. Again, another striking skin. It's clean. Almost too clean for a Drake ship. I didn't buy the starter package, so I didn't get the Rockfall skin. There's another skin called Flashpoint. I do not know how to get that one. In order to access the components, you have to remove the rear or pod. In this case, I removed both to show the inside. The rear one is easy enough to take in and out, but the front one takes some effort to put back in. Once the pods are removed, you can easily access all of the components. On the left-hand side, we have our size 1 cooler. Here we have our quantum drive, our single size 1 shield. I don't know what this slot here is used for, but I'm assuming it's going to be years before we see that. And on the right here we have our size 1 power plant. You can install mining modules directly on the mining head right there. And lastly, our engineering panel. Moving on to the cockpit interior, it does take a while to get in and out. The ship doesn't have an ejector seat for those speedy evacuations. It would be cool if the entire cockpit acted as an escape pod. At the very top we have our landing gear lever, power switch, engines on and off, weapons off, and our exit. The MFD consoles Pretty standard. I have found that the radar on the ship is a little wonky. It will black out for no reason, and the only way to fix it is with a relog. Left-hand side, we can turn on and off the cockpit lights. I wish the Guardian had that. We can open our door for space deliveries. Get a snack. I'm actually not sure why that exists. On the lower right-hand side, we have our VTOL button. But other than that, it's got your typical Drake layout on the inside. So now we'll head over to Arc L1 for some mining. For some reason, every time I leave Area 18, it's sunset. Not that I'm complaining or anything. So now that we're at the refinery, we can take a look at the upgrades available for the Golem. As of right now, they consist of mining modules and gadgets. We have the full range of active and passive modules to pick from. Since I'm pretty new to mining still, I don't know what's best for your use case. I'll cover what I picked later on in the video. There's one size ore pod available for the Golem. It costs 25.5k. I don't know why you would ever buy these. There's some pretty serious bugs with them right now. I don't recommend keeping multiples in your hangar. I sped up the video on the first mining run. It took over half an hour to find enough mineable resources to fill the pod. Now this is not a mining tutorial video. I'm going to save that for another one. Even though I've sunk a lot of time into this video, my knowledge is still very limited. There's still a lot more to learn. After filling the ore pods on the first run, we head back to the refinery. If we were to sell our hull directly to the station, we'd make 18k. Definitely not the fastest way to make money in the game. We weren't being overly picky about this run. I extracted everything that I could, like a good little loot goblin. On the second run, I was being a little bit more selective about what I mined. I also wanted to test out if we could store the pods, something I didn't get a chance to do on the PTU. This did not end well. Taking the pods off the Golem and putting them in the freight elevator was pretty straightforward. Everything looked like it transferred fine. So obviously in this test you can't refine directly from the freight elevator, which I assumed was the case. Because why would you be able to do that? And of course you can't sell either. After finding out the pods didn't show up in the refinery, put them back on the Golem and sell. But as you can see, nothing happened. The pods are now gone, consumed by the freight elevator demons. So now I'm podless, and I refuse to pay 51k to replenish my pods from the store. There's only one option left. Insurance fraud. And that lets me segue into what the timer is for the Drake Golem respawn. 3 minutes. If you pay the expedited 1k fee, it's 42 seconds. After changing servers, I decided to see if my ore pods came back. And they did. In spectacular fashion. They loaded on the freight elevator, stacked. And it's gone. So right there, one did fall through the bottom of the freight elevator, not to be seen again. It vanished and never returned. Even after multiple server hops, nothing could be found. I did put the ore pod back on the ship, and there were no resources left. Run number 3 was a 1 asteroid run. I didn't check the value of the corundum before I mined it all. Unfortunately with the Golem, there's no way to jettison stuff you don't want, so you're stuck with it. Unrefined, that load was only worth 5k. The fourth mining run here was actually very profitable. Had a good variety of resources, some of it worth quite a bit. This one had a fair amount of Terranite in it. Out of Arc L1, from the time to leave the station to the time of return, it was only about 20 minutes. Selling to the refinery would have netted 44k, but for this load I wanted to try and refine it. So using Ferron Exchange in the refinery, I was able to take these numbers and plug them into Regolith. 79k is not too bad for a full load, if I can successfully deliver these. After the refining is complete, it would be dumped directly into the cargo hold on my Cuddy Black, and as long as I don't crash, not bad profit. The Golem and the Cuddy Black make a good team for this. When you collect refined goods, you must remember anything that can't fit in a cargo hold on a ship is lost. I'll have more on that in my next video. I feel this is a great starter ship for a lot of folks. If you plan to do more than sell your goods to the refinery, and you're looking to actually refine, you do need to buy a cargo ship. Whether you rent one in-game, purchase it with real money or in-game credits, you will need one with at least 32 SCU of cargo space. I spend a lot of time in the next video with the Riger C3 and the Focus 3, and it definitely changes the way that the ship operates. Mining speed and profitability went way up. I hope you've enjoyed this noob's perspective on the Drake Golem. In a future video I'll be doing upgrades on the ship, playing around with the modules, the gadgets, as I do a further dive into the world of mining in Star Citizen. If you got anything out of this video, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment about your thoughts on the Drake Golem. See you in the verse.